Most people imagine that reaching $1 million is the moment everything changes, the moment when stress disappears, the moment when life becomes easy. But the reality is a little different. Because something strange happens when a portfolio reaches $1 million. The money often begins growing faster than the person contributing to it. And the reason isn't just compounding, it's something behavioral. To understand it, imagine an old factory machine with a giant metal disc called a flywheel. At the beginning, getting that disc moving takes a lot of effort. You push it again and again, and it barely moves. That's what the first years of investing feel like. You save money, you invest a little each month, but progress feels slow, sometimes painfully slow. For most people, reaching the first $1 million takes more than 20 years. But once that flywheel begins spinning, something changes. The effort required to keep it moving becomes smaller and smaller. Now look at the math. If someone has a $100,000 portfolio and the market returns 10% in a year, that's about $10,000. Nice progress. But if someone has a $1 million portfolio and the market returns that same 10%, the portfolio grows by $100,000 in the same year. Same market, same percentage, completely different result. At that point, the portfolio is producing more growth than most people can contribute from their paycheck. That's why the first million is so important. Not because it's a trophy, but because it's the point where the flywheel starts doing most of the work. And yet something surprising happens right at that moment. Many investors accidentally slow the flywheel down. Psychologists have studied something called loss aversion. It means losing money feels about twice as painful as gaining the same amount. When someone has $50,000 invested, a market drop might mean losing $10,000 on paper. Uncomfortable, but manageable. But when someone has $1 million invested, that same percentage drop can mean seeing $200,000 disappear during a bad market month. And that number feels very different emotionally. So investors who were calm and disciplined when their portfolio was smaller suddenly start reacting. They move money to cash. They change their strategy. They start trying to protect what they've built. But ironically, that reaction is often the very thing that slows down the compounding process. Because the flywheel was already spinning. The most successful long-term investors usually do something very simple at this stage. They don't interfere with the flywheel. They keep their strategy simple, their costs low, and their behavior consistent. Instead of constantly adjusting their portfolio, they focus on removing friction, lower fees, tax efficiency, avoiding emotional decisions. Small improvements like these can add enormous value over decades. But the biggest factor is still behavior. Because the real danger once you reach $1 million isn't the market. It's the temptation to suddenly change a strategy that was already working. The investors who continue building wealth usually follow a very simple principle. They stop thinking about their portfolio as money they have, and they start thinking about it as money that is working, money that is already in motion. And when markets move up or down temporarily, they see it as part of the process instead of a reason to interfere. The truth is that building wealth rarely happens through one brilliant decision. It happens through years of small, boring, consistent actions, saving regularly, investing consistently, and letting the flywheel spin. Before you go, I want to ask you something. If you suddenly reached $1 million invested tomorrow, what do you think would be harder, building the first million or having the discipline to leave the flywheel alone while it grows? Let me know in the comments. And if you enjoy learning about money, discipline, and financial freedom, consider subscribing. I post simple lessons like this every week. I'll see you in the next video.